Don't worry, because I'm gonna. It's good. I'm gonna try to say this enough times, and this will be like a cheat sheet for you. Okay.
Open.
To make sure that you understand what we're talking about. So, with that, it's 9 o'clock. We'll get started. Good morning. My name's Ed Amador. I work in the work comp department at Pacific Excess Insurance Marketing, and I like to go around the room and you can tell me who you are and where you come from. Sir? What's your name? And where did you study?
In Poland.
And where did you study?
Major was hospitality right here.
Oh, really? Ray?
My name is Ray. I major in mass accounting.
Juliet?
My name is Juliet. I work at the workers' compensation department.
My name is Eugene. I was majoring in Master of Business Administration, Finance Concentration.
I'm Johnny in the MBA program and major concentrated in data analysis.
Me? I left school for a long time.
You still looks young.
Thank you. I work with Lynn directly, set up the CIE, California Insurance Education Academy. But back to school, I was majoring in general business. I got my MBA from University of Lorraine.
Okay.
2012.
Really?
Yes.
So we got some serious students here, and what I want to do is make this presentation into two sections. One about the exam, what we'll be taking. Two is relate the second part on the exact type of jobs there are in the work comp industry, the line job and supervisorial jobs that are for the work comp industry. It's a $16 billion industry in California. $16 billion every year put into work comp. And if you look on Google, you look on, well, I think it's Monster, I'm old-fashioned, I get the LA Times and I look at the LA Times classified section and I always look at where the jobs are in the insurance industry, just to see what industry is doing the best. There's two of them. Health insurance, health insurance and work comp. And usually it's a work comp, a claim adjuster, or something related to it. Because the health and work comp, they do the same thing. They settle injuries. And if you go down the 91 freeway or the 405 or the 5, the biggest buildings that are being built is either Kaiser or Hoag. Yeah, you'll just see big the biggest buildings you'll see are health related. That's going to be who pays for that? The $16 billion work comp industry or health insurance or Social Security. So in California, that is one of the major employment sections to go for. And whether it's a line, you have to start at a line job, like a line desk job, supervisorial, then senior management. But you get started with the nuts and bolts on, and my section is workers' comp. Okay, and that's what I wanted to get started with you today. We're going to go through the work compensation basics, and at the end of the 2-hour section, you're going to identify and explain the coverage afforded under the work comp policy. It's simpler than you think. Explain the medical benefits and the indemnity benefits that are paid under the work comp policy, and identify and explain the employer liability section of the policy. And I'll break it down to you so you'll understand it. It's not as complicated as it looks. So with that said, let's get started. And we'll go to the first page here where it says to determine the liability of job-related injuries. So just that name itself gives you a key who gets employed in the work comp industry. If you determine the liability of job-related injuries, that's a work comp claim adjuster. They set the reserves for the accounting department and for senior management to look at. So let's go through what the work comp law is. under work comp in California, employers are liable and must pay for work-related injuries. It's written in the law. Work comp insurance is a policy that protects the business owner they step in and protect the business owner and pay for work-related injuries. And by law, every business owner is required to have workers' comp if they want to be in business in California. If you want to drive in California, you need a driver's license. If you want to be in business in California, you need workers' comp. It's that simple. And under the work comp law, and just put a little note because this is the answer to one of the test questions. An employee's injury is paid for under the work comp policy if it is caused by an accident arising out of and in the course of employment. Sounds pretty simple, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. But an accident also is defined to include disease, psychological injuries, as well as bodily injury. And workers' comp insurance is imposed on employers in every state. Any state you go to, they have work comp. Employers are subject to fines if they don't buy it. That's a real big deal right there. For instance, if I was going to open up a little hamburger stand at a food court at a mall, the landlord would not give me the key to my business unless he saw a work comp policy. Because if somebody gets injured at the shopping mall, they're going to go sue somebody. And if I don't have work comp, I'm going to go after the shopping center owner if I get injured on the job, if I get burnt, if I cut my finger. So everybody needs it, and you get fined if you don't have it.
What if it's self-employed?
Well, you see, if you're self-employed, we're going to get into that. There's a whole section on that. There's a whole section on who's employed and who's self-employed, and how do you differentiate between the two. So workers' comp is imposed on all employers. The workers' comp law is produced by state government up in Sacramento and is imposed on employers. Now, there's two people that settled claims for workers' comp. And that is the workers' comp, this is real important to know, that the workers' comp claim adjuster working for the insurance company, if it's just like a cut little finger, or if somebody broke their leg on the job, it was that simple, they're going to pay. They're going to pay the medical, and they're going to pay for the guy being off of work. They're going to pay his paycheck while he's out of work. But if the worker thought that he was not being paid correctly, the state government delegates the authority to administer the work comp laws and impose judgments by the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board. And in the real world, that's what happens. It's the worker will take the employer to court and say, I didn't get enough money for my cut finger, or you didn't pay me enough money when I was off of work. Or I'm not an independent contractor. I was working for you for 6 months, and I was on the roof fixing the air conditioning, and I have nowhere else to go except for you. That's what the workers' compensation adjuster does. If it gets too complicated and the employee sues, they'll go to the Workers' Comp Appeals Board. That happens all the time. Happens every week. And the overall administration of the state's workers' comp responsibility is handled by the insurance commissioner, Dave Jones. so I said, it's a $16 billion industry here in California. And there are a lot of businesses that get involved in this, and trade unions. And basically what happens is every year there's a lot of laws that refine the work comp law, either in the favor of business or in the favor of the employee. And the California Chamber of Commerce, public and private labor unions, the California Medical Association, and trial lawyers that go in front of the Work Comp Appeals Board, all are up at the state legislature refining the work comp law every year. Okay, that's just a big overview. You got to remember, it's a $16 billion industry at $16 billion a year, so there's a lot of people wanting to get their fair share of that $16 billion. Look it up. Now, this also relates to, like I said, jobs that are in the industry. It also relates to the policy itself. Now, job-related injuries arising out of and in the course of employment is subject to a diverse interpretation by the Work Comp Claim Adjuster and by the Work Comp Appeals Board. A typical work comp policy will pay for work-related injuries when the worker enters the place of work to when he leaves. But what about a traveling salesman? There's a lot of people that sell stuff. They're you see them on the freeways all the time. Millions of people. So this is where the work comp adjuster makes his money. In the case of a traveling worker, they are paid work comp injuries from home to when they come back to home, while they're advancing the interest of the employer. Okay, so what does that really mean? How am I advancing the interest of the employer when I'm at lunch and I'm a traveling salesman? Am I? And I trip and fall? Or if I'm working as an employee, and I come here at 9 o'clock and leave at 5, but what happens if at break I fall down? Am I advancing the interest of the employer? I don't know. I don't know, but that's what the claim adjuster does. Okay, and I'm going to go through a few things here so you can figure it out. But that is what the work comp job is as a claim adjuster. And an employee who has had previous medical conditions before he even was employed and has a new on-the-job incident is also covered by work comp. Also covered by work comp is an occupational disease, and in California covers any disease contributed to or aggravated during the course of employment.